Welcome to Learners Academy. I'm Mona Bhatia. Today I'm going to explain you a poem, The Sower by Victor Hugo, which is translated by Toru Dutt. The poem portrays an ardent message to the readers, and that is, it encourages them to be like that sower, to be firm, to be dedicated like him, regardless of whatever comes their way. The poem gives an account of an old farmer who is sowing seed by scattering them. He's doing it with determination, even though he is old, even though it's already getting dark, even though he has seen many bad harvests in his life, nothing could deter him from his duty. He is optimistic of having a good harvest every time he tosses grain, because he's aware that time lost is lost forever. He's aware that this is the time to act. We must do important tasks at specific time. After the time is lost, we lose an opportunity to perform, right? A farmer knows that he has to complete his work now, no matter what, because the crops are grown by season. They won't wait. Let's have a look at the poem now, and I'll try to explain each line thoroughly along with giving some important insight. Sitting in a porchway cool, sunlight I see dying fast, twilight hastens on to rule, working hours have well nigh passed. The first stanza, the poet is sitting leisurely in a cool porchway, watching sunset. Twilight is approaching fast. It is getting darker and soon it will be a night time. So working hours have well nigh passed means the time to work in the field is over now. So the first stanza describes the time of the scene very well. It is the dusk where twilight is going to take over and soon it will be night. Shadows run across the lands, but a sower lingers still. Old in rags he patient stands. Looking on, I feel a thrill. Since the sunlight is reducing, the shadows and darkness is spreading all around. During sunset, have you ever observed the shadows become very large? Isn't it? And the poet's attention is attracted towards the sower's shadow, who is still there, unlike others who have left the field. He looks old, he is wearing tattered clothes, ragged clothes, but he is patient. He's standing patiently. He's not bothered that dusk has already set in. The poet, in the last line, I feel a thrill. The poet is very much thrilled to see him. The sower draws poet's attention towards himself because of his old age and also because of his diligence. Like others, he could have also gone to rest, but no, he's still at the field. Okay? Black and high, his silhouette dominates the furrows deep. Now to sow the task is set, soon shall come a time to reap. Now, against the sunlit background of setting sun, the outline of the farmer is black and high, means very big. His silhouette dominates the deep furrows. Furrows means the trenches that are made in the field for implanting the seeds, where human figure is dominating the furrows. Okay? In the last two lines here on this slide, the poet is trying to read the mind of the sower. Now to sow the task is set, soon shall come a time to reap. So according to the poet, the farmer is having thought, it's all his assumptions, that the thoughts of the farmers is actually very positive. He's having a positive mindset at the time of scattering the seeds. He must be thinking of a good harvest in the future. He must be thinking of the future when he will be reaping the harvest. Marches he along the plain, to and fro, and scatters wide. From his hand the precious grain muse I as I see him stride. So the sower's action is described in this paragraph, in this stanza, how he is marching along the plain to and fro. While marching, he is scattering the precious grain on the soil. The word marching is used here instead of walking. Why? To show his passion towards his work, to show his attitude towards his work. The farmer was all alone, but he was enthusiastically doing his work, alright? And the grains are called precious. Why? Because they are going to give a golden harvest to the sower in future. They are symbol of prosperity and wealth. Okay? Now looking at the painful efforts and walking with long steps, the sower was walking with long steps. The poet says that he is absolutely inspired by his sheer passion and determination. Darkness deepens, fades the light. Now his gesture to mine eyes are august, and strange his height seems to touch the starry skies. So in the concluding stanza, the poet first describes the scene. It is getting darker and darker. The twilight sky is gradually turning into a night sky. Now the poet speaks about the gesture of the sower. What is it? Which appears very strange to him. He's still working there, but at the same time his gestures are august, means noble, dignified, impressive, because of his dedication, hard work, perseverance, and because of all these good qualities, the height of the sower seems to touch the starry skies. This means the image of the sower created a sense of respect in poet's mind, and he's quietly, because the sower is doing his work very quietly, he's striving hard, tirelessly, and he waits patiently for the time to reap. So this image grows tall, and his gestures seem too impressive to the poet. So that was all about this poem's explanation. Figures of speech of the poem The Sower by Victor Hugo, which was translated by Toru Dutt. A figure of speech is a technique or a tool of expression by means of which a poet produces a better linguistic effect. Alright? In this poem also, poet has used many figures of speech. Like in the first line, sitting in a porchway cool, there is an inversion. Inversion, you know what is an inversion? Inversion means when the proper prose order of the word in the sentence is not used. Alright, so the correct prose order should have been sitting in a cool porchway. Alright, in the second line, what is visible is the letter S is repeated 2 times. So the figure of speech here is alliteration. But apart from this, there are 2 more figures of speech here. One is inversion and the other one is personification. Inversion, because the proper prose order is not used, the proper prose order should have been I see sunlight dying fast. Alright, I see sunlight dying fast. And the personification means when an inanimate object, ideas or qualities are treated as if they were human beings. Alright, here the sunlight has been given a human quality of dying fast. Alright, now in the third line, twilight hasten on to rule. Again, twilight has been given a human quality of hastening on to rule. Alright, so there is a personification in the third line also. Working hours have well nigh passed. There is no figure of speech in this line. Shadow run across the land. Now again, shadows have been given a human quality of running. Alright, so what should be the figure of speech? Again, personification in this line, because shadows have been given the quality of running like human beings. But a sower lingers still. You can see S is highlighted in red color, so that means it is repeated 2 times in the same sentence. So the figure of speech here is alliteration. But there is one more figure of speech here, that is inversion, because the correct prose order should have been but a sower still lingers. Alright, now in the 7th line, old in rag he patient stands. Alright, there is an inversion again, because the correct prose order should have been he stands patiently in rags. Looking on I feel a thrill. There is no figure of speech here. Black and high his silhouette. Now H is repeated twice in this sentence, so the figure of speech here is alliteration. Dominates the furrows deep. There are two figures of speech here which I have forgotten to highlight because D is repeated two times in the word dominates and deep. I have not mentioned, I have not highlighted it in a red color, but there is alliteration also along with inversion. Why inversion? Because the correct prose order should have been dominates the deep furrows. Alright. Now to set the task is set. Here the letter S is repeated two times, so we have the figure of speech alliteration, but there is inversion also because the correct prose order should have been. Now the task is set to sow. In the next line, soon shall come a time to reap. There is an inversion. Soon a time to reap shall come should have been the correct prose order. Marches he along the plain. Again there is an inversion here. The correct prose order should have been he marches along the plain. Now in the next line you can see something is highlighted in green color. That means there is an antithesis in this line. To and fro are the two words which are opposite in meaning. When two opposite words or ideas are used in the same sentence or line, that figure of speech is antithesis. Alright. So next line, from his hand the precious grain. There is a letter H which is highlighted here in red color. So there is an alliteration plus there is an inversion also because the correct prose order should have been he scatters wide the precious grain from his eyes. Please sometime you know what happens, you have to take the lines from the previous words from the previous line also. Alright, so when you correct the prose order becomes he scatters wide the precious grain from his hand. Alright, now we move on to the next line. Muse I as I see him stride. Now there are three figures of speech which I can identify in this line, and because the word I is repeated, so there is a repetition plus the letter S is repeated, then there is a alliteration plus there is an inversion also because the correct prose order should have been I muse as I see him stride. So there is an alliteration, there is an inversion plus there is a repetition of the word I. In the next line you can again see I have used green color. That means there is an antithesis, darkness and light. So these are two words of opposite meaning used in the same line. So there is an antithesis plus letter D is repeated two times in the same sentence. So there is an alliteration. Now his gestures to mine are august. Again we are going to take two lines together. Now his gesture to mine eyes are august. So there is an inversion because the correct prose order should have been now to my eyes his gestures are august plus there is a synecdoche here. The poet's eye represent the whole poet. Alright, mine eyes, that means the poet eyes represents the whole poet. Alright, there is a synecdoche here, there is an inversion here plus. Okay, now in the next line, and strange his height. So you can see there is a repetition of letter H, so there is an alliteration here. And the last line, seemed to touch the starry sky. There is a repetition of letter T, there is a repetition of letter S thrice in the same line. So there is a double alliteration here because of letter T and letter S. Plus along with this there is a hyperbole also. Please remember, hyperbole means whenever there is an exaggeration of a statement, when a statement is exaggerated or overstated for effect, the figure of speech is hyperbole. Here his height seems to touch the starry skies. That means It is touching the starry sky. That means it is exaggerated. Alright? I hope you enjoyed watching this video and understood the deeper meaning of the poem as well. In my next video, I'm going to cover the critical appreciation of this poem, The Sower. So don't miss it. If you want to watch more such videos, you can subscribe to my channel. The Learners Academy is dedicated to serve all the students of Maharashtra Board of 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th grade. That's all for today. Stay safe and have fun. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.